Welcome back, this is Bill Coynes, and today we're going to be covering the hip hinge. So if you haven't seen the past couple of videos on glute activation and soft tissue release, check those out before you watch this. But for now, go ahead and get on the ground and show you the hip hinge. So the hip hinge is the first movement you do whenever you sit back for a squat or drop down before you explode up for a jump, or even the first motion you make when you sit back into a chair. It's crucial for back health because what it does is it allows you to utilize your hips, the glutes especially, instead of using the back in order to move the weight or generate any kind of power. So to practice it, if you're just getting into this, if you haven't done any kind of resistance training before, first loosen everything up, activate the glutes, and then begin to practice the hip hinge. So the best way to start out is from a kneeling position like this. Before you start, make sure the glutes are tight, getting up tight just like you did for the glute bridges. Tensing up the midsection, make sure there's tension throughout the entire abdominal area. You want to maintain that tension throughout the entire movement. And then make sure that there's no motion occurring in the midsection. Keep your hand on your belly and on your low back. So then from here, once you've got the tension of the glutes, tension in the midsection, hands are in a good position on the midsection, we'll just sit the hips back, the heels right there. Now notice, no motion occurs in the midsection. You're just sitting back in the hips. You should have a nice crease right here at the hip joint, and then just squeeze the glutes to come to hip extension, keeping that midsection tight the entire time. So another good way to practice the hip hinge and strengthen the areas necessary to properly execute a hip hinge is with a 45-degree back range. So the way you'll set up for this, pretty self-explanatory. Get the feet back in the pad and set the pad up right below the hips so that your entire torso can tilt forward. And then what you'll do to execute it is keep the midsection tight, keep the glutes tight, and think about almost sitting the hips back rather than just falling forward. You want to keep the midsection tight, no flex or extension in the midsection, and move the weight with the hips. Think about driving the hips through the pad, squeezing the glutes, using the hamstrings as well for the hip extension. So the first movement, that sort of kneeling squat, that's something you should do every day until that movement becomes second nature. Once you've got that motion down, being able to keep the midsection tight, move the weight with the glutes, then build up to the back extensions. Do that 1 to 2 times a week and just use your body weight. Try to build up to doing about 20 to 25 reps per set before you add any resistance to it. So one of the reasons I really like that to teach the hip hinge as opposed to a good morning or any kind of deadlift, even with light kettlebells, is because it is unloaded. You're just using your body weight. You don't have to worry about holding on to anything. You can just worry about your positions, focus on getting the right muscles moving. Then once you got that down with your body weight will be pretty challenging for a while. Then you can start to add some resistance to it, work your way over to deadlifts and squats and all kinds of other movements. So if you like the information we've got on this video, be sure to check out the other ones on the channel. Subscribe to us on YouTube, like the videos, share the videos on Facebook, like 180PTS on Facebook. And if you've got any questions for me about hip hinge or any other training questions, be sure to go to 180pts.com, click on the trainer tabs, look for my name, Bill Coynes, and shoot me an email. Or you can check out Coynes Fitness on Facebook, that's facebook.com/CoynesFitness, or BillCoynes.net.